It is Thursday, December 6th. The 2019 budget debate continued today, and we have lots to tell you. In our first report, Public Affairs Minister Dawn Hastings-Williams has rebuked claims that the 2019 budget is a facade, as she highlighted several infrastructural development projects ongoing in Region 7. More from Felicia Valenzuela.
Minister Dawn Hastings-Williams says since the coalition came into power in 2015, greater efforts have been made to compensate the state of stagnation which took place in the previous years. For 2019, the government has allocated $375 million to equip 20 hinterland communities with ICT hubs via satellite. The minister says investments for Region 7 under the previous administration was very low.
Under the PPPC, the Cuyuni-Mazaruni region's average percentage investment was minus 3.9%. I will repeat, minus 3.9%. In other words, the monetary allocations made to this region decreased considerably. On the other hand, the average percentage investment for the Cuyuni-Mazaruni region in its public works sector under this government for the period 2015 to 2018 has been 8.7%.
Minister Hastings-Williams says projects in the region, such as the rehabilitation of roads from Kako to Ramadang, will be of great benefit to the community, since this will create linkages and easy access among communities.
Easy access will be given to persons both from Camarang, Kako, and Ramadang who occupy over 300 acres during doing farming. It will reduce the cost of transportation by at least 50%. Camarang is the main transshipment area in the Upper Mazaruni region, and so rehabilitation of roads, bridges, which will be undertaken this year, will allow the persons to travel, access the other communities in reasonable time and using reasonable funds for transportation.
The minister also announced that rehabilitation works for the Bartica roadway will begin in 2019. There will be construction of pedestrian pave at a section of 2nd Avenue, Bartica, as well as rehabilitation to a section of the Agatash main access road. The Public Affairs Minister says improved conditions in the hinterland region is evidence that the coalition is working to increase retention and increase work performance, improve service delivery and the quality of life of employees serving in the hinterland areas. Reporting for InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
Public Health Minister Waldo Lawrence has highlighted a number of breaches in the Procurement Act for drugs and medical supplies under the previous administration. Delicia Haynes filed that report.
The minister made reference to several articles which pointed out that as far back as 2010, the PPPC administration misappropriated hundreds of millions of dollars for the procurement of drugs and medical supplies.
In early 2010, the cabinet under the Jagdeo administration decided that new GPC would be the sole supplier of drugs. I wish to repeat, Mr. Speaker, in early 2010, the cabinet under the Jagdeo administration decided that new GPC would be the sole supplier of drugs. The article further stated that drug purchases have accounted for a large chunk of the Ministry of Health, with new GPC in 2011 being awarded, listen Gail, being awarded almost 80% of the $13 billion expended by the ministry.
Minister Lawrence cemented her debate on this issue by stating that in the Public Accounts Committee meeting with health officials, more discrepancies came to the fore.
New GPC may not have delivered $222 million in drugs ordered in 2010. Mr. Speaker, I am moving on. The health officials testified to the Public Accounts Committee that between late 2007 and December 2012, new GPC was paid more than $90 million to store drugs. This is not the $100 million that they were paid before.
The importance of the public being made aware of the truth of the long history of foul play in the public procurement system for drugs and medical supplies was emphasized. Minister Lawrence said the ministry under this government has established a procurement unit that will encourage transparency, especially in the procurement of drugs and medical supplies. In her defense of the 2019 budget, Minister Lawrence strongly advised the opposition that instead of bringing false accusations and senseless criticisms, they should in fact present positive recommendations for development if indeed they have the interests of the Guyanese people at heart. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
Minister of State Joseph Harmon says the Green State Development Strategy is the philosophical underpinning of Budget 2019. More in this Anara Khan report.
The Green State Development Strategy, Vision 2040, is Guyana's 20-year national development policy that reflects the guiding vision and principles for the establishment of the Green State.
Minister Harmon told the National Assembly that the Green State Development Strategy is the path which provides a better quality of life for all, as well as ensuring the protection of the environment.
The Green State Development Strategy is development that provides a better quality of life for all Guyanese, based on the sustainable exploitation of our country's natural resources and the protection of our environment. It presents priorities for Guyana development that includes, but not limited, to 3 core areas.
Minister Harmon said the GSDS is expected to build greater economic resilience and human capital. He noted that while the low-carbon development strategy was implemented under the previous administration, it was a single-source transaction and not a strategy.
Mr. Speaker, the GSDS is a comprehensive document of strategic actions, policies, and programs to guide our development trajectory over the next 20 years. The object is broader than Guyana's forest development strategies and captures a more holistic view of social, economic, and environmental well-being, which is in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
In closing his speech, the Minister of State emphasized that the GSDS is the blueprint for development of the nation. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
Over 277 households have benefited from income-generating activities under the Sustainable Livelihoods and Entrepreneurial Development SLED initiative in 2018. Renetta LaFleur tells us more.
The beneficiaries include women, youths, and entrepreneurs. Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali said in 2018, $150 million was budgeted towards the program, and 33 projects were identified in various regions.
Areas of business include poultry rearing, pig rearing, farming, garment construction, manufacturing outlets, preservation of fruits, making of jams and jellies, salted fish processing, shade house cultivation, women's empowerment training, block making, and leather craft production.
In 2019, the Ministry of Social Protection is expanding the program with an allocated sum of $250 million. Minister Ali said this is necessary since the initiative positively impacts households.
We are investing more into this initiative because of the positive impact that the program is having on households as well as communities as a whole. We are transforming people's lives. Many who could not sustain themselves and families can now do so. The figures and the evidence are clear.
According to Minister Ali, the main objective of the SLED program is to assist in reducing dependency on the social safety network. Renetta LaFleur for InfoHub.
Still to come, Budget 2019 good for the business sector, and Guyana could surpass Mexico and Venezuela in oil production. Stay with us.
Dogs again, and no mailbox.
Don't let this happen to you.
I'm so happy that I get this mail back. Now I get my mails. You know how much times GPL come and disconnect me lights because I couldn't get my bill? I didn't notice. Anyways, girl, the post office encouraging all residents to install a mailbox so they can improve their service to us.
Get your mailbox today and help the Guyana Post Office to serve you better.
Welcome back. Budget 2019, according to private sector personality Ramesh Duku, contains good social and private sector measures. Tiffany Rojas has that report.
Budget 2019 has extremely positive measures that will hugely benefit the private sector, Duku pointed out.
What it means to the manufacturing sector is that persons who are involved in manufacturing will have more money to plow back into their businesses, retool, recapitalize, and even open new manufacturing businesses in Guyana.
The 2019 national budget introduces a number of measures for the private sector, including reduction of income and corporate tax rates to 25%, a further reduction of non-commercial and manufacturing rate, and an increase in the property tax threshold for companies and individuals, as well as a reduction in the current rate, among other measures.
Personally, I never believed that in 2019 we would have seen a corporate tax rate for manufacturers of 25%. So I must commend the minister for putting pedal to the metal. This effort was started since 2007. It was always the intention, after the introduction of VAT, to reduce other taxes. And we've seen consistently PAYE, the tax threshold for low-paid employees being reduced. So that's a huge benefit to the manufacturing sector, and I hope that we continue on this pathway to reduce these taxes.
Duku, who was the former chairman of the Private Sector Commission, was speaking to InfoHub in his private capacity as a businessman. He said with these measures, the forecast for business in 2019 looks positive.
Government spending is still the largest facet of how good we do economically. So the government needs to play their part and make sure that they implement the capital as well as recurring expenditure that they have committed to in this budget.
Duku also called on the government to put forward a concrete plan for sustainable energy for the private sector to be more competitive. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rojas.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carl Greenidge, recently represented Guyana at the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee meeting on the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME.
Prime Minister Greenidge said the heads of government signed the St. Anne's Declaration on CSME as a commitment towards moving the CSME forward.
The declaration identified some of the key areas. So you're speaking about the movement of people, a commitment to implement the mechanisms to ensure that the 10 categories of workers that the heads had identified some time ago who would be able to enjoy movement within the space would be able to do that. They also added some categories.
The meeting was called by Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who has responsibility for the CSME on CARICOM's quasi-cabinet. The heads also set timelines that have to be met leading up to the implementation of the CSME.
The heads reacted to a schedule proposed by the Secretariat and discussed by the heads for ensuring that certain things are done within the next 3 months or so. So there's to be another a deadline coming in March or April of 2019, one by the end of 2019, and for actions to be done by 2020.
During the two-day meeting, the heads engaged representatives from the regional, private and labour sectors. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rojas.
And in our final report, oil and gas analyst Wood Mackenzie says the success of ExxonMobil in oil exploration in Guyana has positioned the country to possibly surpass oil production in Mexico and Venezuela. Details in this report.
Online oil and gas publication Oil Now Today reported oil and gas analyst Wood Mackenzie has predicted that Guyana could surpass the two oil-producing nations, Mexico and Venezuela, putting Guyana on the path to becoming a Latin American powerhouse. According to Oil Now, the Liza complex is now on track to produce 1 million barrels per day and compares to Brazil's Lula Iracema, one of the world's largest deepwater finds. This is according to Louis Hayam, a research analyst with Wood Mackenzie's Latin America upstream oil and gas team. Hayam is quoted as saying, with 17 prospects still to drill, Stabroek is writing Guyana's future. It will easily become the fourth largest oil-producing nation in Latin America by the next decade, with chances to outperform the countries preceding it. If Venezuela and Mexico fail to address production declines, Guyana could quickly surpass them to number 2, unquote. On Monday, ExxonMobil announced its 10th discovery offshore Guyana, increasing its estimate of the discovered recoverable resource for the Stabroek block to more than 5 billion oil-equivalent barrels. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
Your green tip of the day is one for motorists. Whenever you pull over or stop to make a call, turn off the engine. Do not leave the car idling. It takes less fuel to restart your vehicle than to keep it running, which is better for your vehicle and for the environment. Let's remind you that the budget debate for this week concludes tomorrow. DPI will continue to provide live coverage on Facebook. That's all for this evening. Connect with us on social media and check our website for more stories. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Goodbye.